Appointments,
You can begin whenever you like.
are you up for reappointment, Stu? Can you hear me?
Can't hear us. He's trying to get even.
Go. Okay, we're ready to go.
Yes.
Welcome to the April 15th, 2026 meeting of the Executive Committee. My name is Sandy McKee and I'm the chair of the committee. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. The meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. Members of the public are attending virtually. You can raise any questions or comments you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. We don't have any members of the public with us this evening. CB6 Vice Chair Justin Goldberg will take the minutes tonight. We will now take the attendance by roll call. Jesus will conduct the roll call.
Thank you, Sandy. Good evening, everyone. When I say your name, when I call your name, please indicate that you are present. Anya Arias.
Present.
Thank you. Neil Barkley. Don't see Neil Barkley. We'll move on. Hugh Desser.
I'm here.
Thank you. Maya Donahue is absent. Jason Fumowitz.
Present.
Thank you. Justin Goldberg.
Present.
Thank you. Rupal Kakad.
Present.
Thank you. John Keller.
Present.
Thank you. Anton Malner. I do not see. We'll move on. Sandy McKee.
Present.
Thank you. Alec Militek.
Present.
Thank you. Stephen Perez.
Present.
Thank you. Cat Valero. I do not see. Move on. Jerry Weinstein.
Present.
Thank you. With 9 members duly present, we have one.
The agenda for tonight's meeting is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the previous meetings this year are being drafted and they'll be ready for the committee to review, and when they're ready for the committee to review, they will be sent out. Ground rules, please wait until you're recognized and before speaking. If you have a question about committee business, please raise your hand. Also, people on Zoom, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. And please, it's important that only one person speak at a time. It's very difficult to understand if you are listening to the Zoom later on. Tonight's agenda, Chair's report. I have just a few things. One, our 3-day rule. I know we said that any resolution that was passed should be put before the board 3 days before they have to vote on it, so that you have enough time to review it. This month we had 2 resolutions that came within like a day of the meeting. And it's really not fair to our members, I think, because you don't have time to go back and watch the Zoom. It just makes it difficult. So I think we should really try and respect that rule unless there's some incredibly pressing reason not to. So just
Question.
Yeah.
Do we know why those resos came so late?
the meeting was very close to the full board,
The committee meeting.
the committee meeting.
Okay.
And the committee meeting members thought that they were time sensitive.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure in retrospect they would. Jason, maybe you have some comments.
I think we really thought about the fact that it was
So
close
close.
to full board. But it wasn't an intentional
Yeah, no,
decision. It's fair.
yeah, no, it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah,
okay.
And this happened, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes like parks and transportation are incredibly close to full board.
Could we have deferred procedurally? Or should we have not voted on them in the committee meeting, or should we have voted on them in the committee and then said we're not gonna vote on it until?
You could have done either. Man,
So if they didn't vote on that committee meeting, when would they vote? Because if they vote at next committee meeting, isn't the timeline still an issue?
I don't think so, because they're the first Monday,
Yeah, it was rare that it was the same.
Oh.
Usually it's the-
and we're the second,
Oh,
full
okay.
board is the second Wednesday.
But
so-
it frequently happens to budget committee
Yeah.
because we are the Monday before exec.
Oh,
So many
Oh.
times we have passed resolutions only when it is very time sensitive, like the budget requests have to get in by the end of the month or something like that, where we absolutely cannot. But what we do is we pass the resolution and we say, bring it up, we're too close. It just goes on the docket for the following month.
okay, so you do vote on it, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't come up to
So
full
there's
board
a
until
whole-
the following month. Okay.
There's more than 30 days to
Yeah,
review.
okay,
you know.
got it.
And everybody's reading that resolution several times.
Yeah.
Before full board, so they're very familiar.
We did have several that did meet, that were time sensitive, but there were some that could have. deferred.
Yeah, because it's hard when you've got like 5 resos from.
Yeah.
To give them a full vetting and understanding. Okay, one of the questions that we discussed as well is the name of the Health and Education Committee. And I think it actually was a little bit of a mistake because it was Health and Environment previously, and then we added Education.
And took away environment.
Took away environment.
And I feel like environment is a big part of our committee, and also it's a very important aspect these days, environment with climate change and everything, and I feel like it should be encompassed in the names. I wanna propose changing it to health, education, and environment, just to have it in there. I
Yeah.
think it's important.
And it really was,
They're all systemic drivers of inequality, all three.
Yeah, so I feel like it should encompass, it should be in the name, so,
and it really was sort of
yeah. So I just wanna bring it up and,
slipped.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've been talking about, does a chair of a committee need to reach out to the board office when they contact an agency? And it's really, do we need to do that as, a way for the board office to know what's going on and to confirm that we have, sort of an overview of what's happening in committees?
I would think,
So we've never really, it's just one of those best policy ideas, but it's probably something we should at least agree on, that it's a good suggestion.
Yeah, my thought was like, I discussed this, like, if it's more than 2 people, like, if it's just a board doing, like, if it's a chair doing some like discovery work and is curious, but the second, like, it becomes kind of official and it's like the third person comes in. But I mean, on the other side, maybe people do want any record of it, if it should, even if it's them too. So it just depends on
Yeah,
scrutiny.
Tony?
I think it's good, good measure, because otherwise, it gets a little disorganized. And then you could probably start getting complaints to the office that why am I getting so many calls? And I think it should at least be informed to the board, to the offices, and we're gonna be touching base. Now, follow-up questions maybe possibly not, like if the initial contact should be at least informed, but if you have to follow up, and there's this other question where maybe not necessarily, because then it gets a little cumbersome. But at least to have a train of notice.
What if it was even just like a CC? So like, Sandy or executive board or Jesus CC.
I mean, that's what we're asking for, is
Yeah.
to be copied.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a record of it.
It's not
At
that
least
you
record.
have to ask for anything, it's just so everybody kind of knows.
Yeah.
So that's to protect the chair too, right? It's not
Yeah.
just-
Yeah. And I mean, we've gotten some pushback from agencies previously. I don't think it's an issue now, but they're like, too many people are contacting us, and chairs,
That's
okay,
what-
it's sort of
yeah.
hierarchical.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's.
I
when
think
you
it
try
makes
and
sense to
get
at least have somebody from the office be CC'd on it, whether it's Jesus, Brendan, or anybody else, but like one person from the office. I think should be copied on it, so that way they can
Yeah,
at least be in the loop, or like if some other committee member reached out to the office saying, hey, like the same question, they can at least be like, they're
I know the
working on it,
answer.
we have an answer, we've gotten it, or we've already reached out, so
Yeah.
we're waiting on the response or something
Yeah.
like that.
Sorry, Sandra. did you-
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's actually a couple other aspects you might want to be considering. One, the kind of email discussion, I think,
Right,
to begin.
That's coming.
So there are 2 things I'll just point out. There's the Freedom of Information Law. So if we're conducting city business, it is foilable thing. So if we're using non-board accounts, that's a slight issue. So I think in the past, we've always copied the board office so that there was a formal record of those discussions. And there's also a retention policy problem that we might be foul of, but I will stop there.
Yeah, because that's next, that's on the agenda.
Yes.
So, and I mean, I think most people are doing this currently. I don't know that it's just.
I'd love to hear Zeus's weigh in that I appreciate there's a lot of email volume that comes to this office, and how does this add to that and make that potentially unmanageable?
Well, it's something that I don't know that it can be helped, but yes, I totally see Sandy's point about the chair should be in the loop about all these things, the office should be in the loop about all these things. You know, until AI gets good enough to be able to, triage everything, it's just gonna have to be something we're gonna have to deal with. But I think in the end, Sandy's approach that the office and she should be CC'd on these things is probably better than the inconvenience of having more emails coming.
And I don't necessarily need to be CC because I think the office alerts me if there's, I personally don't want it. But I mean, I rely on the office to say, oh, this is an issue that you should maybe, this is happening. So,
And info at CB6 is the best way to do this, that's what.
Yeah.
yes,
I sort of, if I'm communicating with more than one member of the board, I do info at CB6, unless it's large.
yeah,
And just to be clear for everyone, info@cbsix.org is a separate email account than our individual ones, but we all have access in the office to that.
So do you prefer info
Yeah,
or do you
which would you
prefer
prefer?
individual? Because I've been usually trying to copy Brendan because he's the liaison for the health committee. So I've just been trying to keep him in the loop because he's the person, but I can switch it to info if that helps.
The way we do it is typically, if it's super time sensitive, probably our individual ones are better. Because I'm not constantly looking at info, I rely on Brendan and Brian to do that. But they also are primarily looking at their individual ones. If it is something that is less time sensitive, info is good. If it is something that maybe we may ultimately email you from info, they often do that for reminders and things like that, because if anyone's out and someone needs to pick that up, info, we all have access to that. Without like resetting his password, I can't get into his email, Brendan and Brian's email. So that's not a super straightforward answer, but for super quick one-off things, individual is fine. For things that are not as time sensitive, info is good. But we will keep emailing you from info more generic notices, especially if there's a chance that we may be out sick or we may be out on vacation or something like that.
Where does office at CB6 fit into the?
So office is something that we've been trying to retire for the public, and here I am saying this on a public recorded. It is an alias. It goes to each of our individual office emails. So if you send it there, it will go to mine, it will go to Brendan's, it will go to Brian's.
So don't use office.
I would prefer that we, only for very necessary things, but that's what it is.
Got it, useful.
I didn't know that. And I think we have, a fairly robust agenda, so I think those are the things, main things. That I wanted to just touch on, so. CB6 email policy.
Yes, okay, so I made revisions to the policy from our last discussion. Sid, I'm glad you're here. We had talked about connecting, but that never.
Yeah, so I was saying, and didn't get a chance to meet.
And just to explain, Sandro actually set up the system, so everybody knows that, and this is his day job, is working with data and email, so he's an expert.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable about it, so do you have the,
I updated the doc that was shared previously, it should be,
I'm sorry,
sorry, it should be with docs under email policy.
All right, I have like every document except for that one, sorry, you'll give you a second to find it.
Again, I could talk through it at a high level. So basically updated it to reflect that we would have. The accounts would be by committee, so we would have like transportation at cb6.org. The accounts would outlive the chair, they'd be transitions, to the next chair. My proposal was still that we use a separate email, so separate subdomain, member.cb6, or maybe it was committee, I forgot what I put down, but then we have a separate subdomain for the committee ones. That's the high level summary that I can remember on them.
And I mean, other things we talked about was how long do we keep the email? We have some addresses right now that are no longer being used. How do we actually sort of keep a policy that?
There's been a couple of concerns, if I may, over the years about this. I think, so I alluded to one of them. If items are being discussed and you're using your personal Gmail, AOL account, whatever, technically that email is part of the public record. So it should be retained as per city guidelines. One of the concerns, though, and we had worked with the borough president's office in the past to try to determine how we could get email addresses for all board members so that that could be done in the way that any other agency would do it. I don't believe that they ever came up with a cost-effective solution for this, which is probably why we're still here. The two things I will point out that the city email retention policy, there's three categories. The first category is policy-making employees, which I would consider all board members to be in. The retention policy is actually permanent. The second category is non-policy making employees, which I would argue that we're not, which is 8 years. So in either case, we would need to figure out some cost, how we can do this on an ongoing basis.
Theoretically, staff are not policy.
That's right. So that's where I think the second category would be
The 8
appropriate.
years.
8 years for staff and permanent for all board members, if we were to do that. I think that's the challenge.
So the subdomain proposal that I had, I outlined the service provider, they would provide unlimited storage.
Yeah.
It's like, there's like a theoretical limit, but
Right.
like not a defined limit. So I think that addresses, also it was, I think, $10 a year or something for like the whole service. So very cost effective and would solve that retention, $10 a year.
In perpetuity.
And
Probably not.
they've been around for a while.
I'm just letting you know what the regulations are for the city, regardless of.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
We'll be in a good.
Yeah.
What would happen with the emails that we already have? Like, I save everything that I get from CV6, but it's in my Gmail. So does that get transferred to a new domain, or how would that work?
I would have to
One
keep it
could
in
do that. Yes, I mean, that's something that one could do.
Because, for instance, my email goes to CB6, but other people have set up private emails.
Right.
Or
So-
Gmail.
So as the chair, I think for like the last 7 chairs, I don't remember, each chair has had their own personal email address. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they've been suspended but not deleted, so we still have archival record of them.
Yes, they've been suspended.
Okay, so
There
so
have
they're
been
not
glitches
used.
in the past, I
Okay.
can't say some have.
Okay, well, that was the intent anyway, right? Yes.
My understanding was that we still had active individual accounts for press chairs, but that might be incorrect.
Yeah, what we talked about was how long do we leave them active? Like, Kyle still had one, Molly still had one.
You have some.
Some-
Yes, I do.
You have one, so
But for a specific reason, not,
just when do they get suspended?
Yeah, and I outlined that.
Yeah.
So I think we said a year.
So let me, if you could scroll down a little bit. So I think I said 3 months, for the existing former chairs, we would have we'd give them 3 months to let them know that we'll be sunsetting the accounts. and then. Yeah, it was leadership.cb6.org, my proposal for the subdomain. And so, yeah, that would be chair, we could discuss this if this makes sense. I was thinking we don't use chair at cb6.org, chair sits under the leadership.cb6.org domain, although you can maybe make the argument that it should be on the Google domain, either way, I was thinking that just for consistency, but if we want it on the Google managed email system, we can keep it there. And yet the former chairs, I guess we would do the same thing at the end of the chair's tenure, the 3 months. It would be deactivated.
Makes sense. I would just argue hypothetically that the role, not the person, stay active and just get redirected to the new account so that as an agency is liaisoning with someone, they'll transition to the replacement.
Sorry, so we wouldn't do, my proposal is that we wouldn't do an individual account for the chair. Chair would only use chair at leadership.cb6.org. There wouldn't be a
So-
sandy.mckee yet.
So could you just explain how the 3-month thing works?
Yeah, sorry, I misstated that then.
Okay.
It would, so the 3 months would be for anybody who has an existing individual account.
Okay.
And then so right now where we have those individual accounts for chairs, we wouldn't do that going forward. Chair would be like any other committee, board chair would act in the same way as any committee chair, and where we would have the committee email address, and it would just transition, that account would just transition from the next to the next person in that role.
So there's continuity between chairs, so like a conversation that started with Sandy will then continue on with the next chair without having to like.
So the chair at leadership email would be handed down once the chairship passes off to someone else. But then that chair usually doesn't just leave the board right there and then, so then they would get issued a second email.
Sorry, I confused things with those scales. No, they wouldn't. So like, once you're no longer in either the chair of the board or the chair of a committee, you would no longer have any access to or any CB6 email address. My proposal is that the district manager would reset the password upon leadership changes, give the password to the new person in that role. That person should set a new password, and then they would have access to full history. I
I
appreciate.
like the idea. I have a concern.
Sure.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I was wondering in terms of access, like when people would get access, like, I just know from, for example, like when you're taking a different position. Maybe the day you start isn't the right day to get access, maybe it should be a month before or something like that.
Well, I think that'd be complicated because then you'd have two people.
That's why that's why,
Yeah.
so is it like? That's what I'm wondering, is like, how do you have one party maybe that wants to get access to learn a little bit about what's, or is it just the day of that they get access?
I think it would be, the earliest convenience of
Okay.
the district manager at the next, to.
The transition for board chair is over, it's January.
Yeah.
So that gives some time. I guess it's individual chairs can switch out of positions for committees relatively. Sometimes it's relatively.
Yeah, I don't know if the email account is that sensitive for transition reasons,
And then when we change the names of committees or amalgamate them and do things like that, that causes a little more.
yes. Although we could, that should be fine, you can set these up to forward,
To the, someone, yeah,
A proxy.
yeah, okay.
Sorry, could I add an unfortunate layer of complexity to this? The retention policy specifically states agency heads, and their email must be kept permanently and or for the duration of their employment. So hypothetically, Chair A, we're gonna use Sandy as Chair A, ceases to be chair on the correct date. There's a peaceful transition of power. And Jason takes over as the replacement chair, Chair B that was elected. If you had access to the exact same email account and went in and deleted anything, there might be a challenge from a retention policy perspective, because now you are authorizing the same access that she had while she was there. So that might be a challenge that.
Tanya?
But wouldn't changing the password just
Well, but
fix it?
in the scenario given, he would have access to the exact same account, so the idea is that he inherits the same email account. The same sent mail, which I think is a good idea, I understand the.
That's
logic
great,
behind it.
but to get into it, you need a password.
Yeah.
So I think the way to protect
So she
the
goes for
prior.
password 123, password
Right.
321,
Three
whatever.
to
it is.
whatever, so once Sandy is no longer.
But it's not
chairman, God
protecting
forbid.
her.
But I was gonna say-
Because she has access to all the previous history.
Yeah.
No, because he now,
I now could delete. maybe
Delete whatever
maliciously
he
or
didn't like.
unintentionally,
Yeah,
and
I
like,
think
I
that-
don't want.
it
I
could
don't
be
want-
doesn't look that bad.
Or I was gonna prove like,
Are we allowed to delete anything from these accounts?
no,
So the policy states, I'll just repeat it, that. Policymakers, right, which one could argue is the entire board, but there's specific provisions also for agency
Yeah,
heads,
it's
which
just the
is the
agency.
chair of the board, to be clear. Needs to be kept indefinitely. So theoretically, no, we should not be deleting it. We should be keeping it as part of the public record.
What if we were to archive it, like before the transfer?
It doesn't have to be live. That's a
I'm
good
saying,
point.
what if like right before the transfer happened, somebody had, you know,
A snapshot
you
of.
has an
yes.
archive for the last year,
That
you have a
would-
year of archive. Now, I don't know what you, maybe it would have to be held by the borough, like forwarded to the borough
Right.
office or to the CB6 office, but I think it's archived.
and then Jason doesn't have to.
So a snapshot
Well,
recorded
I,
at the
we
time.
want that, I thought we want the.
No,
history to be
I don't
available.
think you want.
I don't think you.
I was not able to access the previous chair's email. I had no desire.
I
I don't think it was informative in any way.
I
I
think I
you start fresh.
I think that's true to some degree, right?
but I thought, I support that,
Regardless
but
of
I thought our
yours.
intention was that we
It's not-
wanted the continuity of the email history.
Yeah, and I don't mean that as being, any
Yeah,
aspersion on, I don't think Kyle wanted to see Molly's.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it would be exactly the same discussion.
I see no reason for the new chair to have access to all the
Oh,
emails
yeah.
at all. There's simply not, if there is something that is particularly pressing, then maybe the office can handle, some sort of continuity, but I would suspect, I think the cleanest way to do this is once the chair is out, that email is no longer accessible. The password, all of that is gone, and then the new chair establishes his new password with the same
Mhm.
handle,
Yeah,
but it's new password,
So you archive everything, right?
You
before,
archive.
So that way,
Yeah.
if somebody needs to access
Absolutely.
it, 6 months later, there's a
You go through-
conversation, yeah.
Yeah,
And Jesus has some way of knowing, how to get to something that's pressing.
yeah,
But I would suspect that if something is particularly of critical importance, it's going to be handed down either verbally or somehow it's going to be,
Or it's an
Yeah.
active conversation.
or it's an
You're
active
gonna get copied
conversation.
on the conversation that's in progress.
Somebody from
So-
the office is.
I don't understand. This is all public record. So anyone can see these emails. I mean, they would have to foil for them, but anyone can see them. I am not clear why we would hide them from the incoming chair.
it's not
It's
hiding.
not what you're talking about.
Preserve or archiving.
We're talking about preserving or archiving.
Well, we're talking about both, right? We're talking about archiving and
Wiping.
like not having it readily accessible.
It can be, somebody can search.
Leave it to the
Yeah.
discretion of the chair. What
Yeah.
do they wanna do?
Yeah.
When they come in and inherit the account.
Yeah.
But at the basic, sounds like we would need to archive, or.
Yeah.
I
can
think-
keep it.
We have to.
No
by law.
deleting.
We have to.
doesn't mean everyone needs to have an active account, but anyway, just to be
Yeah.
clear, right, we could just take a snapshot, save it somewhere in the cloud, in a drawer, wherever.
Do we know what other community boards do when their chair transitions away and they have a new one?
We had policy from CB, one other CB, I forgot. They use Gmail accounts that they just transition from share to share.
Okay.
I don't think that their policies, no disrespect to them, but I think it's kind of sloppy.
Okay.
No disrespect.
I just opened my Gmail to try and find out how many emails I have. And it's now giving me my personal email on my Sandy at CB6, so. Just know there's such a small,
I, as part of the retention issue, I guess you also have a retention concern even with the person who has, okay, so I have transportation@cb6.org. I shouldn't be going in and deleting emails from that. Theoretically, I could, and then that creates a compliance issue.
Well, so. Within the suite that we have set up, we have the ability to actually let you delete things, but they're still archived.
And that's in the Google.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I don't know about the,
So yeah, I think it's worth revisiting
we should, yeah.
if that's the right solution, or if there's another solution that will give us. That's more cost effective than Google, but will give us the ability to like do proper archiving to be to maintain compliance. And then I think that maybe. If I personally still support the idea of wiping the account clean on transition, but then it's that maybe is a.
It's
A
the
moot point.
effect, I think, but we don't have to, I don't know that that's the step you need to take, because it's kind of the effect is you shut down one account.
Right.
Start a new.
It's,
Yeah.
that's the same effect.
So we could, I think we could agree on principle and policy still here. I think maybe the service provider should be revisited if we could find one that can support archiving.
And are we going to say that it's just the chair is a policymaker, or do we want to make sure that all of the committee chairs fall under that same?
Oh, I thought we were just making the assumption that all chair we wanna have them maintain the archive for all the email accounts.
Well, if the chair or the board is copied on anything that goes to an agency, that kind of covers to a certain extent that.
But I thought you said you didn't wanna be copied, or like the.
Well, if the board office is copied.
Is it
Oh, I
better
see,
if
it
you
has
don't
to
have to
copy
copy
to the
them?
meeting, or it doesn't go into the archive, I see.
So then we would copy the board office on every email we send to any
We could have-
agency?
I mean, hypothetically for this thing, again. We could figure out an archival method that doesn't require you manually typing in something, if that's.
Or
the-
like, what if, let's say I wanted to ask Steve a question about something that's coming up on budget, if I just email him one-on-one? That also needs to be saved, but do I need to then copy the, like, for archival and all of those purposes, like, what happens with that?
Well, that would be covered if, like Jason says, every chair has it,
Right.
Yeah,
which I think is what makes the most sense.
So you'd be emailing from
From that
chair.
account.
Yeah, I think it,
Okay.
yeah, I think
Then
it
that
would
would
make
be on.
sense.
We're gonna investigate how to do that, I think.
Okay,
The-
okay.
I
yeah,
think every chair should have.
Yeah.
From each
the intent.
committee,
Yep,
yeah.
okay.
And what Justin mentioned was that, you know, if you're communicating with your committee or someone else, if there's more than, what did we say, like 3 people?
Yeah, cause I think the rule's 4, isn't it?
4.
The FOIL rule,
Well,
is
Is,
it 4?
I didn't know that. I'm just-
I think it might be 4, like, you could have 3 people on it, like, communicating, but I think it's 4, then,
I believe it becomes quorum once you
yeah, it's
have
what's,
quorum.
yeah,
well, it
and I
depends
think.
on the size of the committee.
So we're saying if 4 people were communicating within the committee, that there should be, like, just, you know,
Copy to the board.
you, I know you don't want to be on.
Or me, I mean,
Or a CB, you know, 6, or anything on CB6, just, yeah, so there's this shows a record for it, of it, and I think a lot of that's to protect us, cause
Yeah.
I was talking about like how last year Jerry and I were, you know, when we talk about the tech committee stuff, or the tech, group, about how, you know, once we included a 3rd person, it would've been good to have a, you know, as an office. It's really to protect us, so,
sorry,
Man, sorry, I don't know.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I think, I wouldn't. I understand the number as like a guide, but I think the content and intent is really important here.
Yeah.
So if it's like 5 people saying, we wanna go get brunch together, that's not really something that needs to be
Right.
archived, you know,
Yes.
for public record.
Yeah.
I think to comply with the open meetings law, the intent is to ensure that we're not conducting policy-making business outside of the public realm, right? So
That's
like if we're talking about something, a liquor license application or something that has an effect on what the board's position will be, we should do that always in an open forum. There are occasions where either within an agency or between agencies, you might need to plan something, so you figure out how to approach something. But that's where maybe in a public meeting like this, you can say, I connected with 3 people and this is how we're going to approach it. So you are bringing that into the public realm, not necessarily because everyone saw your email, but we often do this in the form, let's say, of collaborating to write a resolution. The resolution is then introduced in a committee meeting or at the board meeting so that it's fully available to the public. We don't necessarily have to share our emails with like, I don't like this comma, I don't, I wanna add an extra line.
Okay, any other issues with email? And we'll try and set it up so we get it going.
Just a couple of comments. So we're having a generic email for each committee, which I think is fine. I think though it would be good to put the committee chair's name. I don't know what it's called, but when you tag an email, it has a name as well as the actual email address.
We can do,
I'm sorry.
we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, because that way when somebody from outside is emailing, they email to the same address, and then they see a different email name coming back, they know that they're communicating with a different person. It just makes it cleaner. And the other thing is just to be careful, committee names change, the basic committee stays the same, so the committee name and the email address should be pretty concise.
Just one other note on that, what if we had in the, in like the, every email address, like when they change this, they have like a signature byline too, where like it says, you know, when they sign it off, it says, this email is due Desser, just so that like, so I'm thinking when people change committees, I mean, just as like a matter of policy that, and they have a signature.
An email signature.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I think we could put together some like more robust policy recommendations
Yeah.
based on this conversation that includes this, like how to identify people.
Yeah.
How do you know you're talking to a person and not just a whole committee because you might or might not be depending on how we set up.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
So just to be clear, where this conversation stands now is based on this conversation, some more refinements to this document will be done. And this conversation will be continued at next month's exec.
Yes, I think the main takeaway is to figure out archiving. And yeah, some the policy around like signatures.
And then as Stu mentioned, like those, a consistent footer.
Yeah.
Things that identify. Okay, great. All right, continue discussion of, excuse me, of statement of district needs for core infrastructure, city services and resiliency. And I did send around what Borough Board put together. And that was, I mean, it was really interesting because we heard what other communities had as district needs. And I think one of the things that's impressive about the document, it's not doing policy, it's like, this is what we need in the city. And they said you have to be very careful about that we're not making policy, we're talking about real physical needs that we have. So did everybody have a chance to read that? Hopefully. I thought maybe, I know there's inside some of the committees still, people are like, why are we doing this? Who reads it? What's the point? So just to stress, it's one of the 2 things that community boards actually have to do. So it is important. So let's continue with did we get many responses?
I will put them up right now.
You sent out the responses, didn't you?
Some of these came,
Yeah.
fairly recently, so we didn't really have a chance to send them out to everyone. So you guys can look at them now. We anonymized them, just about to draw attention to anyone.
Was there a clear choice?
I'll be honest, I'm sorry, I didn't have time this week to
Yeah.
analyze them. Would you guys like me to send these to you and then maybe you guys can like really chew on them and then we can talk about this next one?
You
No.
sent it out. You sent it out. I have it in my email.
Yeah, everybody already got it. I just,
Yeah, we already got it.
I don't,
Responses.
the responses. Hopefully we don't have to discuss it again.
So are we to choose one today?
Well, that was the goal.
Okay, let's just choose one.
Um,
It looks like people like, environmental concerns affecting citizens, affecting residents. Somebody said trash.
There were 2 for trash, 2 or 3 for environmental concern, and 1 for noise, from what I could scan.
Yeah.
Is there a way to combine that possibly? Is this like
It's-
environmental plus noise pollution?
Yeah, I
and
was
visual
just thinking
pollution?
that environment, and doesn't noise kind of fall under environment
Yeah.
anyway?
Yeah.
Quality,
That's-
environment quality. of
yeah.
life, Yeah.
What are the
So
official?
environment is like the broader category, and noise is like a subcategory under there.
They're actually separate
These are
items,
the
though,
official
we have to
On
guidelines.
the
comply.
on the list, yeah.
So these are the 3 things you guys sort of narrowed it down to.
Right.
Cleanliness, trash collection seems to be in the minority for right now. Noise pollution does well, but I think it's because last meeting, there was a push to sort of lump noise pollution in with environmental concerns affecting citizens. I cannot promise that once the new portal opens up for this budget season that we're, this fiscal year that we're working on, that their portal will not be so rigid that it will not allow for that. That said, we can write whatever we want,
exactly, we
and,
can address it if
you
we
know,
want to.
so.
Wait,
whether
when we
the
write
agency-
something, we can also include noise pollution under environment as like a large part of it.
What is the word limit for the written submissions that accompany our selection?
They used to have them, but in recent years, they've done away with them. I cannot promise they don't bring them back. But right now, they don't have them.
What were they previously?
It was something like, well, for, I think it was like in the neighborhood of 2,000-3,000 characters.
Okay.
You know, less is more. There's
Sure.
something, explain yourself, but there's no need to go on longer than you need to.
I think even if there's still a 2,000 character word, I think that should be enough to
Yeah,
sufficiently
yeah.
explain our thinking behind.
The blurbs for the budget requests themselves used to be 800 characters, so that was really confining sometimes. But for the longer narrative portions, it was a bit bigger.
When will you find out like the details, like,
This probably won't open until like the summer,
okay,
so like June-ish, maybe, the fastest prologue.
And that really unfortunately doesn't give us time to,
Mhm.
to do it. It's better to have something prepared if we have to.
no, I
edit
was
it.
just curious, so if you needed to edit it or change it, like how much time do we have?
I think one piece of advice that I gave, I don't remember which committee it was, I gave it to, was let the blurb, let the actual text sort of be your guide. What are you actually going to say? And then let's see which of these might fit that better. You know, the one big thing I would say is that sometimes people default to sort of very generic, trash is bad and smog is bad and noise is bad. Okay, well, we need to bring it really back down to why are these things bad in community district 6? Where do we see them? What effect do we see them having? That kind of stuff, because this is supposed to be about our district more than just generically, these things are bad because, yeah, they're bad everywhere.
But we do have very specific resolutions on noise pollution, so we absolutely have the backup.
Yeah.
And again, I look to others, but I confess I prepared environmental concerns affecting citizens because we have so many resolutions that really address that. It seemed like it was something that the board was interested in.
Well, I'm a firm believer in data. I think that data speaks for itself. And if we could just, instead of, like Jesus says, oh, noise is bad and pollution is bad, you know, if we could substantiate our arguments with data, you know.
We have a lot of-
pollution-
If you want.
Yeah,
Resolution
Precisely.
311
Yeah.
calls to, I think.
they're proprietary. in the
Yeah,
sense that
I
they're
did
unique
that
to
notice
us.
that-
Yeah.
Make a
Yeah.
strong
But
argument.
those are what 311 is mostly noise.
Yeah, 311 is mostly noise.
Unfortunately, so the noise one is a little bit problematic because 311 noise complaints are like the gamut of.
Yeah, it goes.
It's the
with
guy
neighbor,
upstairs playing
yeah.
music too loud, to the jackhammering on the street, to the helicopters.
For environment.
So these are all 4 different, 5, 6, 7 different agencies, all
Mhm.
completely different solutions. Right, so you're spreading yourself to which is the one that we we
Well,
think is, you know.
Didn't we
offers.
try to do something about the sirens? 'Cause I
Yes, we
remember
have, that's what
that-
we have the resolution.
Yeah, we tried to do
Sorry.
something about the sirens because.
So, but
As far as environment goes, we got the data right here.
Okay,
So this was something that was prepared by NYU when Sandy, Gloria and I met like almost a year ago now.
fantastic.
And we asked them to come up with data for our neighbor or for our district, and we had given them specific areas and categories to look into, and one of them was air quality, because, you know, and then, so this is from before congestion pricing went into effect, so we haven't gotten the updated data yet, but at least as of 2024. Fine particulate matter in community district 6 was 8.4, when the average for New York City is 6.3, and in Manhattan it's 7.7, and we're at 8.4, so we're
That's what we
high.
need.
Nitrogen dioxide, New York City average is 14.1, Manhattan is 18.6, and community district 6 is 20.7.
So this is what you need when you present your needs, because, you know, just words.
so Tanya, you're gonna write it then.
I'll be happy to write
Okay,
it.
all
I
right,
mean,
but we do need to decide which one we're going to.
And then, but my question there is, what, is that a problem we can solve? What is the solution?
Yeah.
Well, we supported congestion pricing, that was.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we
That's
can
the-
even like now say that, you know, if somebody's trying to cut back on it, that maybe we shouldn't be, or maybe we can promote expanding it, like larger area, more
We
higher
promoted,
price or whatever it is.
we promoted the 34th Street busway, which is also reducing,
Yeah,
theoretically reducing.
so we can use this to promote certain policies or advocate for them.
And so I'm new to the board. What happened with the siren thing? They just ignored it or?
Well, the member who wrote the resolution followed up with an assembly, I guess, city council member, I believe. And again, we should follow up and we should do some more advocacy and see, do we have new council members?
I don't think it ever made it out of committee, but I could be wrong on that one. I don't remember.
There are two new council members, we should give them the resolution again and say, you know, reinforce that this is something we want done.
As I said in here, you know, New York City creates a canyon. And the noise just bounces. I mean, I live on the 20th floor and I might as well.
It's just called canyon.
It's a canyon, it's called a urban canyon effect.
Yeah, but
And-
Tanya, sorry, we don't need to get into the weeds on this now, we need to decide which one we're gonna do.
Sure.
And
No
then,
problem.
and then we can.
I'm a weed
backfill.
kind of person.
Okay.
I
We
like
haven't
getting
gotten
to the
committee
nitty-gritty.
agendas yet, so. So,
It seems like you guys are trying to decide between these two, environmental concerns affecting citizens and noise pollution. Is that a fair assessment?
And they both work together.
and I think we might be able to put our noise pollution concerns into our
Yeah.
environmental concerns because we have a very specific noise
Mhm.
concern.
Yep.
It's not the guy upstairs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, be specific about what it is, what the noise is, so that
How
we're not
do we
looking
do
at 311
Well, I
data
think
from
that
like.
if everything should be tied to a resolution
Yes.
and anything that is about something aspirational in the future. But that keeps us honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so do we wanna just show of hands? If everybody's who's for environmental
I'm good.
concerns affecting citizens? Okay,
Do
great.
I keep this?
Yes.
I didn't see Stu's hand, but sorry, Stu, did you vote for that one? Stu, what was your vote? I didn't see. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
My hand was up. I
I just.
did my pictures on this huge screen that overwhelms the office, but apparently not.
Okay, our district managers report.
Before we get to that, okay, so we're gonna go with this for this upcoming fiscal year. The blurb is going to be for discussion at next month's or
Does that give time? You're gonna
Next
do,
month for what, for
after
we're
that?
coming up with a blurb for environmental concerns.
full board?
No,
No,
for us, for,
For executive, yeah, I can come up with. Absolutely.
sorry, I'm ready to sign. Not so good at doing, but
No
anyway.
worries. I like to write, I don't have any problem.
And if you need help, I'm sure there's someone else would be willing to.
Yeah.
Jerry, okay. So yes, district managers report.
All right, two quick housekeeping things. I will reiterate it again, just because it does really matter. Those members that we said goodbye to at this past full board, that Sandy gave the, sort of, this is your life kind of summary of their service. Your board service is not over until you actually get a replacement appointed, which we've heard may not be until like Memorial Day or until you resign. So you will still be on the roster, you will still rack up absences. And that's not necessarily the worst part, it's just that you will impact your committee for quorum adversely if you are not there. So I will keep saying that, please, if you don't plan on coming anymore, just resign, send the office a quick email, we'll process you out. And you can still keep your pin and certificate and everything. But if you do not plan on resigning, you must continue to come, or else we may not have quorum. We were close, we were iffy this past full board. So because some folks have already stopped coming. So I'm just gonna say that again. Next, you've heard me talk at recent full board meetings about a resource that we have for our members regarding, their membership status, like when they need to apply, when they'll reach their term limits. We have two separate lists for that. We've been getting some questions, and so we've been getting some questions about sort of like, some people are thinking that there are mistakes on this list because when they got appointed, their term seems to last longer than 8 years. And there is an actual reason for that, sort of a quirk in the charter. And so what we have done, we've been keeping, if we look at this list, it used to not include the notes section, but since term limits started, I've been keeping sort of justifications for why your term date is the way it is. And essentially what contributes to that is that for those of you who get appointed to mid-term appointments, these terms that last less than a full 2 years. The charter says not that the term is 8 years, it says that it is 4 full terms, and for a select group of people, 5 full terms. But given that full term is the metric, the unit that they use, if you don't get a full term, it's been interpreted that that does not count. So for those people, their clock doesn't actually start until they get appointed to their first full term. That's why some people seem to get like 9 years for that reason. So we would, or 11 years in some rare cases. So we've added, this was always there, I just didn't make it visible to make it clean, so as to maybe prevent any more confusion, we've put it there. These are not, these are internal notes, these were for me, so you may actually see some like VP and DM for CD6 don't agree on this particular thing. We'll sort that out, that's for some folks that are in like 2033, so we've got time. I'm pretty confident in our record keeping ability. This existed before any of the current VPs lists and stuff, or the last VPs lists and stuff, so. But, not trying to brag, but I think we do a good job of our record keeping here. So that's why that's there. So if you go to our website, under the resources for CB6 members section, you'll find that this looks a little different. And for those who are like term limited in like 2033 or something, if you see some sort of CB6 DM disputes and MBPO, don't worry about that. We'll sort that out in the next 7 years. So that's that. Are there any questions?
Just a thought, I know what you just said, internal notes, but this would seem to be a great opportunity to marry a tickler with the month or 3 months before the expiration of the term to preserve email accounts, to merge those two operations.
I'm not sure I understand the discussion.
Yeah.
Once you've decided on who you're going to use, it would seem that that since we know when people's terms are up, that there would be like a reminder then to preserve and.
The only one on the list is me. So thank you, Jerry, but I don't need it to.
For now. Time moves on.
Okay, let's keep moving here. Anything else, Jesus?
No, that's it.
Okay, committee agendas, unless there's. Um. Anything major? Go through these kind of.
Oh, so we need, so I'll give me 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, so my head's all over the place today. I don't have bronchitis.
You're right,
I got Sandro's bronchitis. He's got.
Running quickly.
Transportation.
Now refer to me as patients
What,
here.
do you want to talk about the street co-naming policy, or do you want to just like,
Happy to talk about it, if you'd like to talk about it.
I don't know, like, it's one of those things, it's sort of. It's a policy that. Needs updating, right?
Yeah, so yeah, but on the agenda is revisiting our street naming policy. It's not very, there's not a lot of guidelines on the existing policy, and there's some like practical things that we asked for today that are not outlined in the existing policy, like we like to have petition, but we don't require it in the policy, and there's a requirement that the the city council person's office is like consulted, but it's unclear exactly like what is asked for from them. So looking at basically tighten it up, to make it a little bit more harder to qualify, more specific means for qualifying, as well as specifically outlining some of the procedural steps that we're like informally asking for today, and like making that a prerequisite to applying. And yeah, it's on our agenda for next.
So no petition, no signatures are required?
It's not currently a requirement for applying or receiving one. That's one of my proposals for what we would ask
I
for
think
is
that's a bare minimum.
petition from the.
And then various boards have, it has to be 50% of the residents, it has to be, like, you need to set.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll have some debate about specifically
Yeah.
what we would set that requirement at, the threshold at.
So, and we need a resolution then that, because we need to update the.
Yeah, and yeah, I have a draft reso, that. Got some early feedback on it, was planning to discuss it in the committee. You'd be happy to talk about it now, if you wanna pull it up, or?
No, I mean, it's fine, the committee will
Yeah.
discuss it and we'll go to full board.
are there limits? I mean, are there standards in other boards?
Absolutely, some boards won't discuss it at all.
Oh, good, yeah.
Jason, what's the report about from DOT? Is that just a basic overall report that they?
It's just generally like what updates they have, they've asked them questions, or specific area concerns. Yeah. Okay, so other than that, we have a couple project updates. Parallel conveyance on ESCR, water main project, in the 30s. Which has been going on for an insane amount of time.
Bill Bucket.
Yeah,
9 years.
it's it. Concerns about intersection on 23rd and 2nd, there's a request from a community member to discuss that we ask for a turn signal, a dedicated turn signal off of 2nd Avenue, for traffic turning left onto, right, from 23rd Street, turning left onto 2nd. So we're gonna discuss that, and we've got the co-naming, new criteria for that, and finalizing the blurb for statement of district needs.
And I think that coastal resiliency has always been going to land use and waterfront previously, so there may be a little bit of a, just to keep people up to date.
Sorry, are we gonna do it in both?
No,
Okay,
but it's just when you switch committees, quite often there's like, explain the whole ESCR. Because.
I don't remember, did we purposely choose for it to go in transportation? Or we could move it, if it's missent, the.
No, I mean, it's not necessarily missent, it's just like a heads up that
Okay, got it,
it's,
got it,
yeah,
okay.
okay, sorry. Sounds good, it's a short agenda for transportation.
Yes, all things considered,
So please, let's not add anything in between now and the meeting. I know it's a month.
No promises.
Yeah. Okay, who's up next? Parks and Cultural Affairs, we don't have anything here. There was a fire on the Greenway.
Today?
No, on the weekend.
Alright,
Yeah,
where?
well, there was a lot of dead plant material and it's.
Further north on the Esplanade, the upper fifties. But no, that's not on the agenda.
It probably will be. I'm sure public will come, so maybe we can add that. Public safety and sanitation.
It's gonna be almost all sanitation. We're gonna have the district superintendent with us. He works the mornings, but he was very nice about willing to zoom in. We're going to have someone speaking about anticipating containerization. We don't know who it is yet, but we've been told somebody will be coming. And we're looking for one other person from DSNY. And although this is obviously for committee members to question the DSNY people, I think it's more of a forum for the neighborhood associations, which I will be inviting, and I've given them heads up. Many of them have issues about cleanliness and sanitation issues. And so I think to bring them all together, we'll see what their common interests are, and we'll try to resolve as much as we can in one place. So we'll see how that goes. And then the other thing is, um, uh, Kevin said that he may want to draft a reso on the New York for All Act and a couple of other bills. So if he gets that to us in time, we'll discuss that as well.
And have you given the Department of Sanitation questions? You know, quite often that helps the discussion.
I have given them a sense of what we're looking at. We haven't forwarded specific questions yet. I'm only getting confirmations sort of on a piecemeal basis, so.
Okay,
But I've told them, I mean, in terms of containerization, for instance, we've all seen the report, The Future of Trash, and you know, we know about the pilots. We've seen the pilot programs in the Sanitation Foundation uh, um, presentation, I guess. So we have a sense of it. We don't necessarily know what questions to ask until the details are presented to us. I know that committee members have some questions based on what they've seen in the handout so far. So we'll collect some of those. Uh, as for the district superintendent, I just want the neighborhood associations to have an opportunity to address him directly and collectively. And then the other issue that you've seen is a number of the associations in the bids want to put out their own trash collection bins on the corners, which DSNY currently is not allowing. And I'm hoping we can get somebody who can talk about policy and maybe listen. Because if a community group wants to spend its own money on that and they think it's going to make for a better neighborhood and it doesn't have a negative impact on DSNY, then it seems like something that should be considered.
Yeah, no, it's just good if you give them the questions ahead of time so that they can't say, oh, I'll get back to you later. That's all.
I typically try to give them advance
Yeah,
questions, but I don't necessarily, you know, sometimes I'll do it when I invite them and sometimes I'll wait until the week before.
Okay, thank you. Budget and Government Affairs.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
typically, what we do is when something is tentative, we hold off on posting your agenda until that's actually finalized or dropped off. But since this idea is not even coming from you and it may or may not come to pass, like when might we know whether this is moving forward or not, or should we just post your agenda as if this were not there, and then if it shows up later?
You're talking about the New York for All Act,
Yes.
right, item, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you usually post the agenda about a week before, right?
No, we typically post out all the agendas that are ready, right after the day or two after exec, so as to give people as much time as possible to view them. We don't hold them when they're ready just for the week before. We will if we have to, or not.
So I will try to get a solid answer on that tomorrow and let you know. And if you don't hear from me or until you hear from me, leave the second item off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, budget and government affairs.
Yes, we have, Governor Hochul has proposed a pied-à-terre tax as part of the budget negotiations, so we are going to discuss that, but if it passes in this budget before we have our meeting, then we will pivot to a similar topic.
Revenues fighting it tooth and nail.
And then the handbook discussion. So
Okay, yes.
we have drafted I sent around a draft of our handbook. We didn't meet last month, so I asked our committee to look at that since we were meeting. So
And do you have budget requests?
we-
Specific?
No, we don't have, no, I mean,
You could have.
it's hard to know what that would be. I don't think our committee has never had on its own a budget request. Well, yes, no, actually we do.
No,
We have the office
Yeah.
asking for more money, resources for CD6. That's our expense request. And we've asked for office space. So yeah, we always have
Yeah.
those two requests.
Okay. Health and environment.
The agenda as of now is pretty light. We're just gonna discuss budget. I know one of the committee members has a couple of things they wanna mention in old and new business, so that might take up a few minutes. I am also trying to, waiting on a response because I wanted to also discuss, New York Health Act. But I need to know, like, is it worth discussing it right now? Where is it in legislative session? Is it gonna pass? Is it gonna be part of it? So I've emailed Katie Loeb, Senator Gonzalez's chief of staff. I'm waiting on a reply. We'll determine whether we discuss it or not, because if she feels like, oh, it's gonna be done before we even get to the full board or we do anything, then it might not be worth the time. That's a tentative, that's not there yet. Yeah.
All right, land use, waterfront and landmarks, not here. But they have a pretty full agenda. I think Brendan's already gotten it. They've been discussing. I don't know, was this updated?
It was.
Okay,
It moved the discussion about the CV6 landmarks process to May. But it did not move the historic district council's reso.
I think it's meant to be the other way around. The historic districts council moves to me.
Okay, so this is what we were told, but we'll switch it back.
Yeah.
We'll switch it around.
Business affairs and licensing, Anton.
It's getting bigger, isn't it? A little bit, yes.
Mostly liquor licenses. I'd like to, if we have time, discuss Belk handbook, which we've been working on. And maybe we'll have it finished by the middle of summer.
And the CHIP program, you mentioned that you might want to CHIP, I think it's called community something.
Yeah,
Something, that's right. It's the cannabis.
control board in the law. An applicant for a cannabis license has to show how it is benefiting the community
When they renew their license.
when they renew their license. And there was a presentation that unfortunately I wasn't able to get to, but ended. And
I went to,
And basically, there are several ways that you can show that you're benefiting the community.
And actually, being OCM, it's very loose. There's no rules, there's no description, there's no,
I'm shocked.
yeah. And we've already received at least 2 renewals and they haven't presented their, I think it's CIP. So, we were gonna try and have a discussion of this at exec because it really, it's meant to benefit the community, but there isn't any way for these, you know, for the
There's
people
really
who,
no strong metrics.
there's no metrics and there's no way for the people who own or own a license to know what they're supposed to do. So,
That sounds typical.
yeah, they had one person who gave away turkeys apparently. And, but yeah, it's very,
Reminds me of WKRP in Cincinnati. You remember that show?
anyway, they rely on the community boards to try and assist people in preparing these things. And yeah, it's incredibly amorphous, so. Anyway,
Yeah, I was on that meeting as well, and it sounded to me like they were saying. They will say, go talk to the community board to see what the community needs.
yes,
And that's how then you can build your community improvement plan. Which seems very inconsiderate on the part of OCM. But they did actually show our website.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, that's our website. So maybe people will be looking at our district need statements, or I don't know, but.
and it's really like. So anyway, we have to find a way to help these people do what they're required to do. So. Anyway, is there any old or new business? Great. If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Yes, thank you.
John, I heard you laughing. You remember that
I remember
episode?
they are